Welcome back, seedlings.
Welcome back, Summer. People are not going to believe that we actually took a lunch break.
We did,
but we
have the same outfits on.
We came back looking the same. So we're now like in mid-August, and we're like, do you guys wear the same outfit every day?
The whole month.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Do we look tired?
We didn't. Do you look tired? Do I look tired?
Do we look tired?
We could look tired. We just ate.
We ate.
Yeah.
We're talking about the mustard seed.
We are. We got stuck.
The mustard seed, but not really. It's not really. We didn't really talk about the mustard seed.
No, we just said we were going to talk about seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
Technically, we said the word.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go. What are we doing?
I need you to read 14 through 16 for me.
Again?
Yep. I just want to see whether or not we continue on with this. You only get like halfway in a verse.
Well, that's not when you declare the 3 verses. It's just, it happens on its own.
Oh, got you. Okay. 14.
And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he's a lunatic and sore vexed, for oftentimes he falls into the fire and oft into the water. And I brought him to the disciples, and they could not cure him.
Fantastic. So I love the fact that this guy, right, we talked about the whole lordship thing, we talked about the whole knighting ceremony, right, but he then goes on and we talked about the fact that he specifically says, here's the deal, right, but I love
For someone else.
The fact that he goes on even further to saying, hey, here's what this problem is doing. Right? So again, sometimes, right, we just are caught up on the symptoms of things, right? But a realization, right, when we become a Christ follower, we get the whole picture, right? If we pray to Jesus and like, Lord, give me the whole picture of this, right? So sometimes we get frustrated, we get disappointed, we get upset because of the way that people are acting. They're throwing themselves into the fire, they're throwing themselves into the water all the time. But we got to take a step back and say, like, this is a result of being tormented, right? This is what's going to happen. We know that these messengers are coming our way. We know that these accusations are coming our way. We know that we know the game plan, right? The enemy wants to burn people up and drown them. Like, that's the whole idea, right? And so again, part of us as Christians in ministry is we look at things and we have compassion on people. Right? We see the symptoms. We see people being thrown in the fire. We see people being thrown in the water. We see people making accusations and saying dumb things and doing dumb things and all this. We see all that stuff. So my first question is, so how do you keep from getting ensnared by this that's going on around you?
The fire?
How do you, when you see somebody making accusations and doing all this stuff, how do you keep yourself from becoming ensnared in this problem? Because ultimately,
now we're in a totally another video, Andy.
All fire things are a invitation by the enemy.
This is a spiritual warfare thing.
That's exactly right.
That's the only way to stay out of it, is you have to see what it really is. Like, personally, I just see what it really is. Like, I can hear an accusation and say accusations are from the enemy. I can see condemnation and know it's not conviction from the Holy Spirit. I can see all that crap. Like, I just see it. Like, it's just, I know what love looks like. I know what love doesn't look like. So I just see it, I label it, and then I open or close my mouth.
I love the fact that you said, I know what love looks like, right? So many times we're talking about love feeling like something. And so what happens is we get ensnared because it's about feelings, right? We see somebody thrown in the fire, we want to jump in with them. Or we see somebody thrown in the fire and we feel like, hey, they deserve it, right? But knowing love is where we don't jump in the fire with them, right? Because again, ultimately God says, he can turn something into a refiner's fire, right? So sometimes we get thrown into the fire, and God's whole purpose in it, like with Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, was, I'm going to let this happen, and then I'm going to work in it, right? So sometimes that happens, right? We need to make sure that we're allowing God to work with this whole thing, right? But look at the verse 16 with me. It says, I brought him to your disciples, and they could not heal him. Right.
Yep, there's your mustard seed.
Yeah, what a really crummy moment, right?
Yeah, like, were they standing there just like listening and just like, oh, what?
Well, they obviously were, because they're like, hey, they asked Jesus later on, how come we couldn't do this?
But were they like, oh man, he just threw us under the bus?
Yeah. And how sad when people bring people to us and we can't help. Right? Now there are works that are created for us. There are things that we're supposed to do, and maybe this isn't a work for us, but this was something that Jesus had commanded them to do, right?
Right.
Go out, cast out demons, right? These kind of things. Heal the sick, do these things.
Yeah, I mean, there is another level to this, though.
Uh-huh.
Like, he was... Okay, clearly he knew, right, where they were at, or else he wouldn't have said, how long do I have to be with you? And then he told them about the faith.
Right.
So he obviously knew in their heart. They just didn't have enough faith to do it. But...
Right.
I don't know, because then he did say this kind needs prayer and fasting, which they clearly did not know at that point. So it's like, well, yeah, maybe you didn't have enough faith, but also you didn't know this part. So it's like,
Well, he clearly reprimands them, right? But then he adds a little caveat, and I'm like, hey, here's the deal.
Yeah.
Right? But if you look at his statement, Jesus answers, it's a pretty tough answer, right? Oh, faithless and twisted generation, how long am I to be with you? Right? Like, we look at this and we can see the mess ups of the disciples, right? And we're like, oh, yeah. But how would it be if God said that same thing to you and I? Like,
He has.
Guys, I've promised you a bunch of stuff. And I keep asking you to have faith. The idea of promises is clearly about faith. Right, it's just about faith. It builds your faith. Otherwise, there's no reason. Right? It says by faith, Abraham believed the promise. Right? So again, you look at it and say promises are all about faith. Right? So I was someplace this last week, and that became the crux, right, of the question. 4 days of just asking and thinking and seeking God, right? And at the crux of it was, are you going to have faith in my promises, right? Are you going to have faith that I am who I say I am, and I do what I say I'm going to do? Well, that means we also have to make sure we hear Jesus clearly. Right, one of the things the disciples had was Jesus clearly said to them, go cast out demons, right? Do these things. For us, sometimes we get caught up, did I really hear this? Do I really hear this? And you know well that I'm one of those people who, if you could give me 15,000 affirmations, but that's not faith. Right? If you
not if you need affirmations.
But if you move affirmation to affirmation, it's not faith.
Right.
Right? Hey, I'll get this far. Right? And
so
then
show
another
sign.
Right, show me another sign. And like I said a couple episodes ago, I spent a little bit of time with God when he said, I've heard your prayers.
Got it.
I've heard them, right? Like I know what you want. I know how you want it, and I also know what I've promised. Right? We think God's promises are we go to the cupboard and just pull it out whenever we want it. No, God's promises are always in his time, right? That becomes important. So Jesus looks at us and says, man, you don't have faith. And that is a very convicting thought.
This is a self-scrunchy face video for me.
This is a self-scrunchy face and you scrunchy face video. It's like a
You
double.
guys have no clue what that means. That means conviction for us. Thank you very much for this passage here, Andrew.
Yeah, there's times when God, and you can see Jesus here giving the scrunchy face, can you? Like it's
yes, he does. He gives you the scrunchy face.
Pretty much is probably where we are.
Why do you guys stink at this?
Yeah, why do you guys stink at this? Right, because we want the promise without the pathway to the promise.
Well, maybe they just wanted to tell everybody they cured him.
But what a humbling moment.
Like when he sent them out and they came back and said, hey, even the demons listen to us.
Yep. And we look at it and we say, when Jesus speaks, the demon comes up. The ESV version, which is similar in nature to the King James Version, says the boy was healed instantly. Right? We're constantly talking about a process and, like, oh, your healing will come as a process. Over and over in the New Testament, when God healed somebody, it wasn't your bleeding will stop over the course of 2 months. It's not, oh, hey, your leprosy will just slowly go away. It's not, hey, your demon possession will be like, you're going to struggle with this for another 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. When Jesus talks,
it's done.
it's instant.
Yeah.
Right? So again, the question would become, all right, why when we talk for Jesus, right? So one of my prayers last night with someone was, I want your voice to be Jesus' voice. Right? I want Jesus to just have the ability to speak totally through you, right? So things would happen instantaneously. Well, when it's my voice, I'm going to be just like a lot of people in the Bible where the demonic is going to look at me and say, who are you again? I think I know Jesus, I know Peter, I know Paul, but who are you?
Right. Well, that's what I was going to say. We don't speak that way because we don't, he speaks with authority and we just don't believe that we have it.
There you go.
We just don't. We're like, well, we're not you, so. But he says, here, you have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the second that God gives us a promise, we have the authority of that promise, right? So we look at the rainbow behind us.
That you can name and claim.
Right. We look at the rainbow behind us and we say, we have the authority that goes with that promise. God's never going to destroy the world again in that way. So we just came out of a weekend where we got a lot of rain. Some people really thought they were going to flood. I was glad to be at the ark one day.
Yeah.
Right? But we look at this. We look at this and we say,
would you pick me up?
You know, it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing about the ark.
He's like, I would have got my horses, but maybe not right. You.
You can't. They made it very clear that you were not directing the ark. So I want the answer to be yes. Or I want the answer to be yes. But I'm pretty sure we're not going north. So we're going to go wherever the wind blows. There you go. That's true.
I would be here with you while Andrew was on the ark.
That's right. She'll be still making seeds videos.
Mm-hmm.
I love the part about the mustard seed, though, right? It doesn't take a ton of faith. It takes
just faith, period.
It takes a little faith. Is God who he says he is, right? Are you going to fully embrace what God has given, or are you going to keep making exceptions and qualifications and rules and like, I'm going to do it when this happens. I'm going to be with this when this happens. I'm going to take care of this if this happens. Like, no, God's promises don't work that way. Right? God says, embrace what I've given you fully and completely. And then if you need more, you'll have more. But embrace it completely. Quit making the rules to be like, hey, if you do this, 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 and this, then I'll embrace it completely. That makes sense? I said all that without going, huh.
I did for you.
Yeah, I could tell. Everybody online now knows. Right? All right.
Seedlings, you're really...
They're looking to the inner workings of seeds.
You really are getting an interesting experience these last few weeks.
That's true. All right, wrap this up. We've done literally 6 videos today.
Holy cannoli.
And we could do a lot more. But the truth is, we need to take care of some people too. So
yeah, seedlings, have faith. That's it. Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Have faith. Have faith and move mountains and stuff because God said you can. You can ask him to do it, but he says do it yourself. So have faith and do it. We love you, seedlings. See you next week.